This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Damn. Purdy this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Kings and Dreams back with another video. Just make sure that you like, subscribe to the channel. That is Kings and Dreams, both on YouTube and Instagram. All right, we got a special guest in the building this evening. We got the lovely Selena. Selena, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing great.
All right. So before we get started, kind of let people know a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Hi, my name is Selenas Selena. You guys can find me all social media platform under that name. I am from Massachusetts. I am a promoter. I do hosting. I'm also a model. I started off acting first. I've been modeling since I was about 13 years old, and I love doing it. I work with a lot of artists. I like to help them out with whatever they need, such as music videos. I also do hair and makeup as well.
All right. So kind of like a swift army knife, if you will. Okay. All right. Perfect. 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 All right. Well, again, thank you for joining. And so, interesting topic. I know you and I had spoke a little bit about it offline, and so kind of wanted to have this conversation, kind of get it from a woman's perspective, and then I'll kind of break it down from a male's perspective. So, what do you think about modern day relationships being affected by social media?
Modern day relationships being affected by social media, there's pros and cons to it.
Okay.
Now, the pro about relationships and social media, the pro is that you can actually meet people from all over the world. I know a lot of great stories, especially love stories about people meeting their special, significant other from
Mhm.
another country, another state, and they finally get together. It's extremely beautiful. They have, a great family, a great story to tell their children, to their grandchildren, but there is a con to it. So the con to it is that a lot of times when you already are in a relationship with somebody and there's social media, there's more options being available to you. So there's fights about, liking somebody's photo. Maybe there's a fight about you texting a random person,
Mhm.
on social media. And that can cause a lot of problems for people's relationships today. And that's a lot of reason why people have arguments today.
Okay. All right. So that's a good point. So with the social media being able to have access to people that are, I guess, outside of local, different states, out of the country, things of that. So there is also that abundance mindset for certain people. So um, kind of going into the cons. So how do we kind of nip the cons in the bud? Like, what are some of the ways that we can kind of nip those in the bud? Like, from your perspective.
I think that communication is one of the biggest things that people need to work on,
Hmm.
especially today. A lot of people don't want to work on communication, and a lot of people don't want to, meet in the middle. I think that if something makes somebody uncomfortable, you should communicate that with your spouse, and your spouse should understand or meet you in the middle so that both parties are comfortable. Now, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with, let's say, like a male liking another female's photo while they're in a relationship. But some people do find it, uncomfortable to them. Like it does affect people, it does hurt their feelings. But I think that if it does hurt you or make you upset, you should be able to, explain that to your spouse so that
Hmm.
they can understand that something is bothering you. Because if you don't communicate this, they will never be able to understand. Also, the thing is, if you're having communication with other people of the opposite sex, or let's say the same sex, regardless of preference, um, I believe that it's okay to have conversation. Like we're allowed to have friends. You know, the best thing about having social media is getting to know other people. There's so many people in this world. There's many things that we can offer each other. There's no reason why we can't have normal conversation, but there is a limit to what your conversation could be about. And you should be able to discuss to your spouse who you've spoken to or what it could be about, just in case they find out on their own and they don't know what the conversation is pertaining to, and they just assume things. And then of course, we overthink things, especially women. We overthink a lot, and I know men do too. So I think it's really great if we could just communicate these things with our spouses.
Right. Couple of good points. So I kind of wanted to circle back there when you said that a guy could like a girl's picture and you don't think it's a big deal. That's very interesting hearing that from a woman. So let's just say if you are in a relationship and the guy that you're in a relationship with, he ends up liking another woman's photos, and let's say she has some pretty raunchy pictures and it happens to be a raunchy picture that he ends up liking. So will you still kind of stand true to your original statement saying that you wouldn't have an issue with it, or does it depend on the kind of pictures or people that he's liking on social media?
For me personally, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Excuse me for saying this, but men typically do watch porn, and it's free.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I also don't believe there's anything wrong with that.
Hmm.
It's something that's, to me, I think it's normal. So
Hmm.
them liking a photo, I still don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay.
As long as they're not like commenting under it, being disrespectful, they're not going in that person's DMs, then I
Okay.
don't see anything wrong with just liking a simple photo. You
Okay.
like what you see. We have eyes. We're supposed to admire the beauty
Right.
in the world.
Hmm.
Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I
Okay.
know a lot of women would find something wrong with it. It can be disrespectful to certain women, and it
Hmm.
can be very uncomfortable for a lot of women. But for me, no, not so much. Not at all.
Okay, interesting. So basically, she could have everything out. He likes it, but as long as he doesn't say anything, doesn't slide into the DMs, you're okay with it. Okay,
Exactly.
fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You
Hey,
have to be able to trust your man,
yeah.
and you know what I'm saying, like,
Hmm.
and you putting a leash around him or trying to tell him what to do or change him is going to make them want to do it more. It's like telling somebody not to touch something and they're going to want to go
Hmm.
touch it anyways.
Right.
So they're going to do what they're going to want to do anyway. So it's like there's no reason for you to tell them what to do or to stop them. You know what I mean? I think liking
Hmm.
a photo is not really a big deal. It's just you're scrolling, you don't really think about, sometimes you just like something, okay, keep going. You know what I
Right.
mean? So unless
Okay.
he's like saving the photo or he's going to that person's DMs or having writing something crazy, it's not a
Hmm.
big deal liking it.
Okay. All right. So let's ask that question to flip that to the ladies. So if a woman ended up she's in a relationship, so like would you would you be upset if your boyfriend or someone that you're dating was upset with you if you had ended up liking another guy's photo?
Would I be upset if my
Like,
boyfriend?
yeah, yeah, no. Okay, so let me rephrase the question. So what I'm
Okay.
asking is, um, how would you feel if your boyfriend was upset that he saw that you liked another guy's photo?
If my significant other was upset that I had done the same thing, liking
Hmm.
their liking someone else's photo, I would probably understand.
Okay.
Like I said, I like to be understanding and meet in the middle.
Okay.
If it makes them uncomfortable, I probably wouldn't do it again.
Hmm.
I'll probably take into what they're saying into consideration,
Okay.
and probably leave it at that, and probably wouldn't do it again, because I think that out of respect for your spouse, it matters more if they're comfortable than just liking a photo, because those people don't matter technically. The person that you're with and the person that you care for,
Hmm.
their feelings should matter to you. So if
Okay.
he's not comfortable with it, then I probably wouldn't do it.
Okay. All right. And so do you think that women in relationships, if their business doesn't have anything to do with social media, should they have a social media if their boyfriend asks them to delete it? So what I'm saying is, if you aren't using social media for business purposes, and your boyfriend asks you to delete it, do you think that the girlfriend should delete her social media?
Now your question is, it has to do with business or it's not for business?
So yeah, so the question is, let's take you for an example. So you're going to need social media to do your business, which is understandable.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is, if you did not have to use social media for your business, and your boyfriend said that he wasn't comfortable with you using social media, would you delete your social media?
Um, well, here's the thing. I mean, social media can be used for more than just, business. It could be used for family,
Hmm.
keep in touch with friends. Um, and those are the most important reasons why a lot of social media was created. So we could keep in touch with friends and family from all over the
Right.
world, wherever we are.
Right.
Um, Now, if I didn't have any of those as well, and my spouse wanted me to delete it, I would probably ask them a good reason why they would want me to first. Now, they give me a good reason enough, I probably would, just for, the peace of my relationship. But I also would like want us to figure out what the reasoning is. Why would I would have to do it? What's the, if there's no reason, then I wouldn't probably delete it.
Okay. Good point. Good point. So, what if he just says that he's not comfortable because maybe you're getting too many likes on your photos?
There's many steps I could take that. I could either
Mhm.
go one direction where I would say, I would want them to work on being more secure with themselves, being
Mhm.
secure in this relationship. Because if I haven't given them any reason to question, anything between us, then there's no reason for them to be insecure. Now, if they're being insecure about this, I would have to question a lot because I would need my man to be very secure because, you know, people are going to look at you whether it's on social media or whether you're in public. Now, if I was walking down the street and somebody's looking my way, it's the same if somebody was to like my photo. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
People like to look. And you should be proud to have a significant other who is attractive enough that they are being looked at or being liked on social media. Now, you should also I feel like a lot of people should learn to be secure with themselves as well as their relationship. I just don't
Okay.
think that it would be necessary to delete social media just because somebody's getting too many likes or too much attention on social media. Now, if I was to reciprocate the same energy back, then of course that's a whole different story.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And so, you also mentioned communication. So, um, do you think that social media has had an effect on how uh, people dating and boyfriend and girlfriends communicate? So for me, I'll speak on this one. I definitely do. I think that a lot of people are quick to have a conversation on Instagram or on Facebook, and not call their significant other. And uh, so I think that, like, especially like when you're typing out messages, whether it be a DM or a chat on Facebook, sometimes words can get misconstrued, and that can also lead to possible, like, potential disagreements. So a bit long-winded here, but more or less. So what do you think about what I just mentioned about how some of the communication can be misconstrued on social media because people in relationships are not having that phone time, actually calling each other?
Right. Um. Actually, I definitely agree with you on that. It is very easy to misinterpret someone
Mhm.
by text,
Yeah.
by tone, and to take it the wrong way.
Right.
Sometimes when I would read something and it seems off or they're not understanding me and I'm not understanding them, I'll instantly pick up the phone and I'll call them or I'll
Mhm.
FaceTime them. I prefer to have a conversation where I can really get an understanding of what they're talking about, or how I'm trying to explain, or what I'm trying to explain to them, so
Right.
that we could be on the same page. Because it really does avoid a lot of conflicts. It avoids a lot of arguments and miscommunication. I've had it a few times where, I'll get a text and I feel like they're trying to attack me, or they're coming at me the wrong way. So I'll call them and say, hey, what's going on? Where's this call coming from? Can you explain to me? And they'll be like, oh, no, I'm not trying to come at you. I was just kind of mad about a certain other situation, but I guess I wrote it the wrong way.
Right.
And that's why I think it's really important, if couples are having an argument, it's really best done on the phone or in person, or just FaceTiming, like, so you can kind of read each other's language, so you can understand and listen to each other's tone of voice. I really think that it's way more important than just texting, because having a long text over the, paragraphs, nobody wants to
Yeah.
read that. And sometimes
Yeah.
it is easier.
Definitely.
Like, I used to struggle with communication. I did.
Mhm.
And I used to have an easier time typing out my feelings to my significant other, but
Mhm.
I learned that when I did that, I actually ended up arguing more with my spouse than I did when I was speaking to them in person or on the phone or FaceTiming, because there was a lot of miscommunication due to the texting and the paragraphs. Nobody wanted to read the whole thing. You only read or see what you want to see. You know what I mean? And you only answer half what you want to answer. So I think that it's
Right.
way better if I just, like, from now on, I pick up the phone. I've learned my lesson growing up and being in
Mhm.
relationships, that it's way
Yeah.
better. It's a lot less arguments.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The long paragraphs, I don't got time for it. And I skip through it. I'll be honest, like I'll skip through it. Like if I'm dating a girl, and uh so sometimes the ladies could send like a long message cursing you out. So I'm like, so I'm reading like the first like 2 or 3 lines, then I'm like, wait a minute, I got like 10 more lines to go. All right. So I'm just like, I can't read this. I'll call, and if she doesn't pick up, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll wait till she calms down and call her later. But I learned my lesson too, because like I would like reply and I would only have like 1 or 2 sentences, and then that would make her even more upset, because she's like, did you see everything that I wrote? And I'm like, yeah, but I only wanted to say this. So
We
that's
hate that as women. We hate that. We hate when you
yeah.
go, okay, or you write, you answer one of it, and we're like, couldn't answer the whole thing.
Right. No, that's yeah. You are right about that. Okay. So with social media, like you have the access to dating apps.
Right.
Um, and so do you think that the dating apps have been essential? And I know you had mentioned earlier that like there were pros and cons, but um do you think that people should be using dating apps, or should it be more organic, the communication, more or less in person?
Let's see. I like I said, I'm always on the fence on things about that, because,
Hmm.
like my godparents, they met
Hmm.
on a dating app.
Okay.
And they have a beautiful story. They're still married. They have two beautiful kids. And they're very happy and they love each other.
Right.
Things like that do happen. Love stories do happen. Um, and I know a lot of people who have met, their significant other through social media, through dating apps. Um, but I feel like sometimes it does, what's the word? It does take away from meeting people outside, outside in the old fashioned way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or courting people in the old fashioned way, where, now you have a reason to be shy. Now you have a reason not to approach somebody that
Hmm.
you like, because now you have somebody that you could talk to on social media
Right.
or just text them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
And how do I explain this? I personally do sometimes enjoy wishing that I could meet somebody in person, so that you could have a real story to tell your kids and
Yeah.
your grandkids, so that, because, I love those stories, like how my grandparents met. It was amazing,
Right.
how they met in person,
Yeah.
but there are great stories. Like, okay, let's say you met each other. Let's say I was living here in America and I met a man from, England off a dating app,
Mm-hmm.
and then we met each other in person, and like that's a beautiful love story to itself,
Right.
because
Yep.
even though it's really hard, like I think having a dating app is helpful, but I think that there's reasons for people should try to meet each other in person as well. Does that I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm in agreement with you. I think that dating apps do help, but I think that meeting people in person, and you and I do events, so we're sociable people, so it's a bit easier for us to meet people in person. But I think overall, people that I have met in person, the connection is either instant or it's not, but I know right away. And then when I meet them on social media, things could be like, you kind of have to do a little bit of digging to see like if this person really is who they say they are, or like the red flags of that person. And then just to kind of add on to that, um, so when you like, nowadays, I think that a lot of people they're so used to just being online, being behind their computer, their tablet, their phone. They're just so used to just talking to people online that the the authenticity of meeting someone in person has kind of lost its luster, because some people are socially awkward. Like, some
Mm-hmm.
people don't know how to approach people face to face.
Right. And yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It makes it easier sometimes to text somebody on social media,
Hmm.
and to get to know somebody, over text instead of like FaceTiming or on, on call, or
Yeah.
in person. Like I,
Hmm.
I, I did one time meet somebody on social media,
Hmm.
and I dated them for a really long time, on and off. And we had never met each other, and it was going pretty well. It wasn't, it wasn't too terrible. But when
Hmm.
we finally met each other years later, um, we realized like we didn't connect at all in person. And
Right.
it was like you never would have known that until you had met in person. We thought, and I kept thinking like how great it was going through the phone.
Yeah.
But once in person came, it was a disaster. And I thought to myself, this is why I should have had just met them from the jump and not had wasted my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's another good point. That's another good point, because the connection could be online, and then in person it could be completely different. You get to see, like, in person, like their mannerisms, how they walk, how they talk. Then let's just say, like, you're out at a restaurant with them, you get to see like how they eat their food. You get to see, like,
Yes,
you get to really, like, that
their
person can't
habits.
hide from you. That person can't hide from you, because you get to see them, and see and see them in person. So when you are on, whether it be a Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, geez, there's so
Right.
many. But like, when you're on all of these apps, like, you get to, like, and then also you get to set up a picture of yourself. So that's another
Yes.
thing you gotta add. Yeah. So yeah, in person, there's no filters.
But the thing about it, the only thing I like about the online thing or the
Hmm.
social media thing, um, especially like in my generation,
Hmm.
um, our generation, I don't know what it is, but they're extremely, extremely very sexual beings. Okay. I like that when you have and you live far away, you get to know each other. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's more about building off, communication. It's about getting to know what that person's interests are, what their dislikes are, what makes them tick, stuff like that. But I like that it gives you time to build your relationship. because when you're in person, it seems that when people meet in person, they're ready to jump into bed together. You know what I mean? Like off the
Mhm.
first date. But when you're doing dating from an app and you live maybe far, or you don't want to meet just yet, it gives you time to just build with each other before you meet and jump into things.
Okay. Yeah. No,
So
that's
because
true.
I had talked to this about with like one of my friends, and we just said the only thing we miss is that people have taken the time to go on dates, and getting to know each other only off emotion, off our brain, our like it's just the way that we think, instead of having to jump into the sexual attraction and going into bed with each other.
All right. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. So you mentioned like distance. So how far do you think like the person should be if they're in like the same state? Because I like there's some people that can technically handle a bit of distance,
Mm-hmm.
but most people, especially like we're such in the now age, like we need we have wants, we have needs, we have desires. So
Yes, we
yeah,
need
so
the.
it's
A
like
lot of people need comfort. Everybody's love language is different. Some
right,
people like
yep.
touch, some people don't. I've been able to do long distance, extremely long. Like I once dated a guy that was living in Kurdistan.
Oh,
um,
wow.
yeah, so I could do long distance. I have no
Okay,
problem with it. I've done out of state, out of country.
yeah,
Um, Somebody from Canada. Like I don't have any problem with it, but I know a lot of people who do. And a lot of times I do find that at at some point, or rather in your relationship, it does, there is a breaking point. You know what I
hmm,
mean? Um, where at some point that person either gets suspicious because it's been so long that you have met each other. They
right,
get suspicious of what you could be doing.
hmm,
If that's not the case, then they're more like antsy and anxious, not being able to hold you or touch you,
right,
and that could cause problems too. For me, I personally, I don't have any problem with just waiting. If I have to, I have to. You know what I mean? Like when the time is right, then of course we will meet each other. But
right,
I know it does affect a lot of relationships. Distance can be an issue. It's not for everybody, and it does work for some people, and they do love that. Um, but it does give people a chance to not be in each other's face all the time. I don't. It's not necessary to see your spouse every single day.
yeah,
I know somebody who told me that they have parents and their parents are married and they don't even live in the same house. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They have their own separate house and they live like a town over from each other. And they've been married for years and they still love each other very much and they're very loyal to each other, but they
Mhm.
have decided they wanted their own space.
See, I don't see. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could do that. But what I would try to do is like if we had like own like our own our room together in the house, but like our own like separate rooms. So like maybe like one day out of the week, like I just want to be in that room and I'm watching the game, watching sports or something, and then
Hmm.
maybe she wants to watch what she watches, but like in a completely separate house. I mean, different strokes for different folks, but like that's a little, yeah, but that's a little much. So I would say for me, I would like say, all right, well, meet me in the middle, and we get like a 4 bedroom house instead of a 3 bedroom house or something like that, and then we just have like those two separate rooms. She has her room set up, I have my room set up, but we have our room together though. We have our room together.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. So one question that I have for you before we close up here. So now with social media, uh, there's regular everyday people like you and myself. Now we got famous people on social media. So um And I know earlier you said that you could trust, you could trust your you should trust your mate. So, but what if for an example, someone famous is in their DM reaching out to them, and these things have happened before, and I've seen it. So, and I'm just of the mindset, like, with social media, like anything can happen, and yeah, like,
It's hard.
yeah.
I've had famous people reach out to me, and I've dated famous, some famous people, uh, and I've seen other famous people, reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is what it is. I mean, it is business at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you respect your spouse, I don't think it's an issue. Like, I use a lot of my social media for business, and
Right.
whoever I was with before, and they had a very high status, in social media, or in general, they they try to look at it as business.
Right.
I don't think that should be any different from everyday regular people. I mean, if this is what you use social media for, then by all means. If they want to
Right.
be friends or collaborate, by all means. Like, it is for, I feel like something like this, you have to take it and run with it, because it could be an opportunity that you could lose out on. Now, if it becomes to a point where it is becoming, inappropriate, I feel like, you know, either you yourself, if it was me, it becomes inappropriate. I'd probably be like, okay, I need to step back from this. Um, I can't do that.
Okay.
No, regardless how famous that person could be, I would probably have to step back and say, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to lose that business opportunity because I'm uncomfortable. I'm gonna lose what I have going on at home. You know what I mean? Because this situation isn't it. Because there's always gonna be more opportunities. There's always gonna be more doors to open. And I would hope that my spouse would do the same back.
Okay. All right. But I mean, now you said that, like, you looked within yourself, and I respect that. But, like, most ladies, if they're getting that DM from The Rock or like a Future, like, oh, it's up, it's up. So I'm just saying. But I appreciate your honesty. Saying that you wouldn't engage in that, and you dating someone famous before in your business, you've been around famous people, so you're a little bit used to it, so, like, you're not the normal average everyday person, if you will.
Mm.
So some people who don't
They
have
can
that
get tempted
exposure.
because they want that status. They can get
Right. Yep.
tempted, but
Right.
I feel like you're gonna ruin what you have at home
Hmm.
because you're choosing to jeopardize what you have that you've built for so long
Hmm.
to chase after something that could be temporary.
Right.
You know, like these famous people,
Hmm.
not, of course, not everybody, but some famous people don't really care enough. They're just using you as a leg. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and just for your benefit for that time being, and it's very temporary. And mind you, the person that you're with, you've been rocking with them for so and so such, and they had you when you
Hmm.
were in your low, but now you're gonna drop them because you want to climb the ladder for like a second,
Right.
and you maybe only go up one step. Does that make sense? Because I just think that
It
it's
does.
no
It
reason to
does.
jeopardize that.
It does. It does. But I will say that I have seen that, uh, relationships end because of people really wanting that clout.
Hmm.
So from what I get from you, you seem to be a bit more grounded because you have that exposure. Some people who yearn for that exposure, you don't have that exposure. So if they're getting like a message, from, famous, hip-hop artist, football player, NBA player, they're like, oh wow, like this person wants to fly me out, like, yeah, so they're gonna jump on that opportunity more
Hmm.
times than not, more times than not.
Exactly. And like I said, I think that something like that, like if you're gonna eat, I think you should bring your spouse to eat with you, you know? Because
Mhm.
maybe, I feel like maybe both people can benefit. And I mean, like, I try to choose people that I am seeing to either be in the same industry or be in a similar business mindset because of, to avoid problems like this.
Right,
Um,
right, right.
because I
Yep.
just think that if when you have a team or you have family or you have your spouse, you want to eat together. The whole point is to build together,
Hmm.
and to just to drop, your person to go to, to try to, win in this game is just wrong.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's right at all. I think that you should take your spouse with you, or you should set boundaries aside together, or, like, there has to be some type of rule. There has to be some type of, communication throughout this whole thing. I mean, like, if your spouse is okay with you going, then at least keep communication open,
Right.
because
Oh,
it does take a lot for them to let you and go do something like that.
right.
I have taken opportunities myself to fly to another state, to do, photo shoots, or to work with other people, to, go to another country. And I've always communicated with whatever I was doing to whoever I was with.
Wait, your boyfriend at the time let you go to another country with somebody famous?
During that time,
Uh oh.
yes.
Uh oh.
And it was totally
Man, I
fine.
don't recommend that. I'm just saying.
I don't recommend it for everybody, but for me, it was
Yeah.
totally fine. I
Uh,
actually FaceTimed them during the photo shoot,
right.
and I kept it kind of like hanging so they could see what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
totally fine, and I always kept in communication with them. I would text them throughout.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I'm just a little different because I've been
Yeah.
doing this for so long,
Right. Yeah.
and most people understand it. Not I don't think this is for everybody, so that's why I don't recommend
Yeah.
it for everybody. Not everybody's
Right.
built like this, but for me, I was able to do it. I was able to go to another country. I was able to go to another state without any issues. And they were too. Like, whoever, when I was dating somebody that was famous, they would tell me, "Hey, I'm going to this country, or I'm going to this state to do this, to do that." That'd be great to get open line of communication with me. I didn't feel any jealousy. I wasn't uncomfortable at all. We didn't have any arguments because I understood what it was like,
Hmm.
and they understood what it was like on my end as well.
Gotcha.
And
Understood.
sometimes you could take your spouse with you.
Yeah, that's true.
I've
That's
done it
true.
before. I've taken somebody with me on a photo shoot, to a music video. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good stuff. So before we let you out of here, any last words on the conversation, and then also let people know where to find you.
Um, Not at all, but all I can say is, for our couples out there using social media, be very careful. Try to communicate everything with your spouse. It's better to keep whoever you have in the long run than have temporary. It's best to keep your person happy so that you can be happy as well. But don't, like I said, it's best to always keep an open line and also meet in the middle. But if you guys ever want to find me on social media, I'm under Selenas on all platforms. It's really easy to find me. Just
All
put in my
right.
name twice, and then an S at the end.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me.
So, huh?
So thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have a feeling. I have a feeling we're gonna do this again. So I like this. Um. So um. I would say for social media and relationships, um, just definitely tread lightly. Really know who your partner is. Uh, partner. I'm sorry. Who you're the person that you're in a relationship with. Sorry, didn't mean partner, but who the person that you're in a relationship with. Um, and then also don't always rely on the social media and or dating apps. If you are single, make sure that you put yourself out there. Make sure that you put yourself in places where that you think that you would be able to find the person that may gather your interest. Don't hesitate to shoot your shot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you learn better that way as well, because we're not having conversations in person. I mentioned this earlier about people being socially awkward. So just keep trying to have more in-person communication. Online is cool. I mean, I get it. We're all busy and we're all talking to people in different places. But there's nothing better than a face-to-face conversation. And so I'll leave it there. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay purposely purposeful. And we are out.